Thursday, July 15th, 2021, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So according to IMF data and a World Gold Council Analyst, Brazil has scooped up about 41 metric tons of gold just in the month of June 2021. And why is that significant? Well, it's because it's a 62% increase on their existing reserves. Before I go into that story and why I think it's significant, I just wanted to say that over the years, a lot of the viewers of this channel, especially the ones in the UK, but also elsewhere around Europe and the world, have asked me what's the best place and the best way to purchase gold or silver. And by that, I don't mean ETFs or any paper instruments. I mean coins and bars. So, of course, people have asked me, where can I buy gold and silver? Even though that's not really the purpose of this channel, to sell gold and silver. But I've told my viewers in the past, do your homework. Search around for the best deals. Try to find a reputable dealer. But I have also given them the opportunity to deal with a family-run business, bullion dealers that I've been dealing with for almost 20 years, and that's Gold Investments in London. And I have a promo code with them, Monaco64, and if you contact them, tell them about the promo code. If you're a novice, they'll help you out, with the best deals, with the best coins or bars to buy. And yes, it's Oliver and Simon Temple. They're brothers. They work together. When I started dealing with Gold Investments, their father, Mike Temple, was running the business. Now they've taken over it. So with that, let's go to the story about Brazil buying a lot of gold. And some of you might know that I'm originally from Brazil. I was born in Brazil in 1964. And that's an interesting year, not because I was born in 64, but because in Brazil there was a military coup. The generals took over in 64. And there's a lot of rumors about whether the CIA was involved, and they probably were. And as many of you know, I've been an ardent student of the monetary system. I've been a student and researcher of central banking, starting with the Bank of England in 1694, the Federal Reserve Act in 1913. I've recommended many books about central banking to the viewers, especially The Creature from Jekyll Island. So when I found out that the Central Bank of Brazil, or the Banco Central do Brasil, was created by law on the 31st December 1964, it raised alarms in my head. And I thought to myself, because I'd never had put the military coup in 64 in Brazil and the creation of the central bank, I never put those two together. And this is just speculation, but I think the president that the coup got rid of, he was supposed to be left-leaning. I think his name was João Goulart. And the story goes, the mainstream explanation is that the Americans weren't happy with a left-leaning president, and the CIA got rid of him with the military. But it makes you wonder if it was because he wasn't playing ball. He didn't want to create a central bank because he maybe knew that having a central bank basically meant the bankers taking over alongside the military, of course. And then after that, towards the 70s and 80s, Brazil suffers with massive inflation. Not that Brazil hadn't been suffering with inflation prior to that. Yes, Brazil has had the real since around 1994. It has been a relatively good experiment, but it's going downhill just like all other Brazilian currencies. Yes, at a slightly slower pace. I remember when it was kicked off the real, you could buy more than $1 for 1 real. Now with $1, you can buy like 6 reais, maybe a little less now. Maybe the dollar has come off, but you can see how things are inflating again in Brazil. And I've been following gold a lot, of course, since 2002, since I bought my first gold coins here in London. And yes, I grew up in Brazil, but I left Brazil in the 80s. And yes, I remember all the inflation in Brazil, that's for sure. But I've noticed that Brazil, for such a big country and a relatively big economy for the world, right now has only got 67.4 metric tons of gold in reserves. It's ranked 41st in terms of gold reserves by countries, and it's only about 1.8% of its Forex reserves, the gold that Brazil holds. And this is from Gold Reserve under Wikipedia. But yesterday I saw a tweet by someone called Christian Gopal, and he's a senior analyst for Europe and Middle East at the World Gold Council, and he's been working at the World Gold Council for over 10 years. And this is what he tweeted. Latest IMF data reports that the Central Bank of Brazil added 41.8 metric tons of gold to its reserves in June. This is Brazil's largest monthly purchase since January 1999 and takes the central bank's gold reserves to their highest levels since November 1999. So with that addition of 41.8 metric tons, it moves Brazil up to around number 33. It overtakes South Korea in terms of gold reserves and takes Brazil to 109.2 metric tons. That's a significant increase in just 1 month of 62%. Usually we see countries adding on gradually to their gold reserves. Does Brazil know something that we don't? Have they been told that they need to increase their gold reserves because of some kind of reorganization of the monetary system? Brazil, of course, is part of the BRICS nation group. I know that with the latest president in Brazil, maybe that relationship with Russia and China is not as strong, but it makes you wonder what the top-level monetary officials in Brazil know. And yes, it's a big increase. It brings Brazil's gold reserves to $6.4 billion, which really isn't that much, but I think the trend is pretty interesting. If you look at the Federal Reserve data here from Fred, Brazil has about 348 billion in foreign exchange reserves, excluding gold. So if you take that $6.4 billion, it's almost 2% of their foreign exchange reserves. It's still relatively low. And recently as well, we've had the G20 meeting of central bankers, and Brazil is in the G20. And these meetings usually are like the result of behind the scenes negotiations prior to the G20. So I think Brazil has been given a nod. You know, this is just speculation, of course. It's interesting that this was tweeted out yesterday by this guy from the World Gold Council. And I've done a search this morning, and I haven't seen anyone else cover it. It's not on Kitco. It's not on Zero Hedge. It's not on any other media organization out there. But I think the World Gold Council, in terms of that, is fairly credible. He's an analyst there. He's been there for 10 years. I've tried to look into the IMF data, but I think you have to have an account with the IMF to look into that data. So I assume this guy has looked into that. So let's go and look at where the markets are this morning, though. It's 8:21 a.m. London time. So right now we've got gold at 1832. It's up $5. So yesterday, of course, I was speaking when I made my video about the 1818 level that we've been knocking on that level for the last few weeks. It was an important resistance, and that I expected it to be key. You know, if we broke through that level, that we would see the market go higher, and it has done that. And I noticed that yesterday that happened when the minutes, or the transcript of what Jay Powell was going to say to Congress, when that came out, gold blew through that level, went up to 1830 almost straight away, and then came back down throughout the day and tested that 1818 level again, and then rebounded at the end of the day, and it closed around 1827, which was quite positive. So what did Jay Powell basically say? Well, he said that the US economy is not strong enough, and that they're not thinking of tapering right now. And he said that yes, he's concerned about inflation, but that they still expect it to be transitory, and if there is a problem, they can act and do something about it. What do I think about that? Well, I think he's deluded, or maybe he's just being economical with the truth, because once inflation gets out of the barn, so to speak, it's very hard to control it. The only way to control inflation, I would say, is not to inflate like the Fed is doing. Once people start noticing prices rising, and it's all over the place, of course, people are becoming more and more aware of that. I think it's too late. And the only way they'd be able to break the inflationary trend would be to raise rates quite aggressively, and they can't do that. Anyway, so this morning, gold, yes, has continued higher. It's broken through 1830. The low has been 1823, and the high 1834. Silver is outperforming, but it's still below key resistance. I would say around 26.50. We're at 26.35, up 11 cents. Did well yesterday as well, but then got hit hard as usual when the US comes in. I'd like to see silver follow gold and confirm the breakout in gold. We'll have to keep an eye on that. The Dow future is down 130 points. The NASDAQ future is up 18. I noticed that the NASDAQ hit 15,000 yesterday, but didn't stay there for too long. We're now at 14,920. S&P 500 is down 10 points. The FTSE is down 24 points, still just around 7,000. Sterling is down 0.2% at 138.33. The euro is at 118.29, unchanged. The dollar is down about 0.1% versus the yen at 109.79, and the dollar is trading unchanged versus the yuan at 645.98. The Aussie dollar is at 74.69. That's down about 0.2%, and the dollar is up 0.25% versus the Canadian dollar at 125.38. WTI crude has come off quite a bit since I last spoke to you guys. It's now at 71.55. Overnight is down about 1.5%. I think it's related to some kind of OPEC deal. High-grade copper is up 1% at 4.30. And to finish off, let's look at the 10-year yield. The 10-year yield is down about 3 basis points at around 1.33%. I saw yesterday as well that the Producer Price Index, or PPI, came out a lot higher than expected. I'm not surprised. The other thing I've noticed is that we're seeing more and more people in different countries like Cuba, now South Africa, protesting, looting, governments kind of losing control, especially in South Africa. And there's talk that it's because of a former president being arrested because he didn't attend court, contempt of court. But I read a little bit about what's going on there, and there's a lot of unhappiness by the majority in South Africa because inequality is still really big, a lot of poverty, a lot of corruption supposedly from the political class in the last 25 years or so. So yeah, I don't think this is just South Africa based thing. It's not like a one-off. You look at Cuba as well. Of course, over there, things have been pretty bad for 62 years. But I think this could be a symptom of how people feel pretty much everywhere, even here in the UK, Western Europe, North America, of course. You know, there's a lot of inequality. The financialization of the system has benefited the people at the top 1%. And it's been more so in the last 16 months since what happened last year. Billionaires, you know, they've made a killing, and the people at the bottom, they're still suffering. A lot of people have lost their jobs, and you've got prices rising, which is, of course, the consequence of inflation. So I think we need to keep an eye on what's going on socially, economically, and geopolitically. And we should not be fooled into thinking that it can only happen in Cuba or South Africa or even Lebanon, but also at home in the US, Canada, UK, France, other countries as well, other advanced countries. So with that, I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to say that if you enjoyed this video as well, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you share it far and wide. Make sure you think about subscribing to this channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, and all these other platforms below here. So I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.